Okay, starting with the very first chapter, what is the purpose of this guide? Naturally, if you have listened to me very carefully when I was explaining the 5 domains and the tasks you should have done as a business analyst, you will enjoy this. Okay, this practice guide is developed and this describes the work of the business analysis. What is the job of business analysis? What is to be done? So this is explicitly explained here, and it identifies the tasks that are actually performed in addition to the essential knowledge and skills. You know, you can always get your knowledge and skills about business analysis from anywhere, from any book, but actually what are the tasks that are to be performed to be called as a business analyst? The knowledge and skill we are referring to is needed to effectively perform this business analysis on programs and projects. Now, this is interesting. There is a relationship between business analysis and the change-oriented initiatives of an organization, which are programs, projects, and sometimes even portfolios. But because the change agents are either the programs or projects which take birth out of the work of business analysis, therefore, business analysis is very closely tied to program and project management. That is exactly why we are joining this. The disadvantage of going for other certifications like IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis, although that they have copied the pattern of PMBOK in their business analysis body of knowledge, but their focus is only on the business part. They are not telling you what happens after the business analysis has been done and how the things move ahead. So the project part they explicitly miss out, and many other disciplines many other universities and courses which teach business analysis, they intentionally miss out the relationship between the business analysis and projects. So why PMI has initiated this? Because PMI knew that whatever business analyst is doing, it is going to turn out to be a project or a program, and therefore there has to be a need to understand the role of project and program manager as relative to the business analyst. Because these two roles, the business analyst and project manager, are so interchangeably used in the market that there is a widespread confusion who is the business analyst and who is the project manager. Therefore, this practice guide will clarify all those things. This practice guide is applicable to, naturally, as I said, all the projects and programs, regardless of whether these are focused on product, service, or process improvement. No matter why you are doing a project or program, whether it is producing some product, service, or result, or even some process improvement, whatever a project or program's objective is, this practice guide will apply to it. What does that mean? That means business analysis has a very close relationship with projects and programs, and they ultimately the dream which business analyst sees can only be accomplished by doing a project or a program. The concepts and techniques described are implementation independent and can be used to develop manual or automated solutions using any type of project lifecycle. So, as far as the practice guide is concerned, the business analysis is concerned, that is not telling you how to do it. It is not the job of business analyst to tell you how to do it. The how is answered by the project manager, the people responsible for bringing the change. The person who is steering the change is actually telling you how to do it. But business analyst is the person who initiates the question why to do it. What to do and why to do. How to do will be addressed later. Yes, I do agree that a general approach can be suggested in the business case, that this is the general approach we will take to bring this change into the business environment. So therefore, there can be a semblance of how, but actually how in detail will be answered in the project and program management. So, the purpose of this practice guide is to define what business analysis is and to demonstrate the practical application of this discipline. How can this be applied in real life? This practice guide accomplishes a number of points. For example, provide a practical discussion of business analysis work. You would be able to know and understand what is the job of of business analyst. What is the work he is supposed to be involved in? It defines what the work of business analysis is as it relates to the programs and projects. Very interesting. How it relates to the projects and programs, and does the work of business analysis finishes and the program or project starts, or business analysis work continues when the projects and programs are happening. So it discusses why the work is important, whatever business analysis work is we want to do, why do we want to do it, why is it so important for us. It provides specific examples of how the work is performed. Now, this is a generic way. We provide some examples how this work can be done. As I said, we have certain alternatives in mind while we are explaining the what and why of the project. We can somehow give out an idea. The business analyst can give out an idea how this work can be done, but that would be a very abstract idea. Actually, that would be planned in detail by the project or program manager. But yes, of course, we can provide some specific examples of how the project work is performed. Explains how different types of project life cycles impact the timing and type of business analysis work performed. Naturally, it all relates with the type of work which is supposed to be done through the projects. So, project life cycle, there are different types of project life cycles which can be adopted, and we have to customize and tailor which life cycle is most suitable for that kind of job. So, no single life cycle is going to suit any project. Highlights areas where business analysis should collaborate with other team roles for improving program and project performance and fully align to the task, knowledge, and skills that comprise business analysis identified by the extensive role delineation study. Now, as you might be remembering in the previous lectures, I have shown you that PMI conducts a survey of the industry to feel the need of a new certification, and then they start planning for it. Once a certification is released, even after that, after every 5 to 7 years, they again survey the market to redefine the role of the business analyst. They ask the people what type of business analyst you suppose there should be. What should be the characteristics of the business analyst? What all work he should be able to perform and what all he should know. So, this is called role delineation study. Based on that, the requirements for business analysts are changed, and so is the exam changed. Exam is dependent on the syllabus. Your syllabus, which we discussed yesterday, your syllabus will change, and ultimately your exam will change. What is the need for this practice standard? Business analysis implemented on programs and projects can achieve following benefits. Let me explain these benefits first, and then I'll talk more about some of the things. First of all, high quality requirements are produced, resulting in development of product services that meet customer expectations. So, once we are doing the business analysis, we are basically dealing with the customer. We are eliciting requirements from them, and if we properly get those requirements, high quality requirements, they are produced, and ultimately they are done through projects while we develop the product or service. And that is better requirements we have collected, high quality requirements we have collected, better customer expectations will be met. Stakeholders are more engaged in the process, and buy-in is more readily achieved. If I have been going to all the stakeholders and keeping the input from them, getting the input from them, inducting that, considering their needs and expectations, and always keeping them in the loop, then they will always be engaged and interested in the project and the process. and naturally they will take on the responsibility. Whenever they will be standing by your side while this work is happening. Projects are more likely to be delivered on time, within scope and within budget. This is a desire. This is expected out of a project. That project has three objectives: scope, time, and cost, and it will be done within these things. But naturally, the changes do come, and change request procedure is in place. Implemented solutions deliver business value and meet stakeholder needs. Now is the interesting part. Once we have implemented a solution as per the business analyst suggestion, as a result, some business value must be enhanced. Why are we doing it? Naturally, there must be some value we want to achieve out of the business, out for the business. So, first of all, the business gets the business value, and stakeholder meets his needs and expectations. So that is the immediate benefit of implementing a solution. Organizations develop competencies in business analysis that are reusable for future projects. Once an organization has done one project or one initiative, one solution has been created and delivered, organization gets experience. Their people get competent. They get knowledge about these things. They know more about business analysis, and then this serves as a lesson learned or historical data which will be useful for all future projects. Now, as I was saying, business analysis and project has some relationship, and business analysis is integral to the project work. PMI report in 2014, it reported that if the business analysis has been tied up to the project work, has been integral to the project work, and business analyst is working hand in hand with the project, then 64% of the completed projects successfully met their original goals and business intent. So there is a higher degree of chance that your project will be successful. They will meet the objective. 16% of the projects that started were deemed failures. So 16% projects may not be successful. And the rest 37% of organizations, they say inaccurate requirement gathering was the problem. That was the cause of the failure. Poor requirement management practices are the second leading cause of project failure, second only to changing organization's priorities. So the biggest problem with any organization is they keep shifting their priorities. Their focus is not on one thing. They are changing their focus all the time. And if that be the case, that is the biggest problem. Second biggest problem is that requirements are not collected correctly. We have not paid attention towards the accurate requirement gathering, and therefore we planned wrongly and ultimately delivered wrongly, which did not satisfy the needs and expectations of the stakeholders. The same report of PMI, it concludes organizations continue to experience project issues associated with poor performance of requirement-related activities. So as I said, poor performance is going to fail the project. So that the results we will be reaping. We will experiencing issues. We will be having hurdles in our project. We will not meet success easily. Requirement management accounts for a significant portion of the work performed within the business analysis. Not talking about project, but before the project, when the business analysis will be being done, as you have already seen in the 5 domains we discussed, it is all about requirement mostly. More than, I think, 70% of the work in business analysis is all about requirement. So if such thorough requirement gathering, requirement management has been done, then probably there is no chance that poor performances due to the requirement related activities can occur. Organizations with mature business analysis practices are dramatically improving the probability of project success. So we must understand how business analysis can support project management, and PMI has taken a great leap by acknowledging business analysis as a discipline. Otherwise, they could have been just cherishing their own area of project, program, and portfolio management and never ever to talk about business analysis. By talking about business analysis practices and by linking that to the project, program, and portfolio, PMI has actually shown that they really can think higher than normal people. Others are seeing the costly effects. Others people, they think that this is going to be costly if we start bothering about the business analysis. So, to address the project problems identified through this research, practice guide is developed as a result of that to help the industry address project-related issues associated with requirements and business analysis. So, if there are project-related issues, they can always be traced back to poor requirements and bad business analysis. So, there is a very specific link with the business analysis, providing resources needed to help organizations successfully complete more of their critical initiatives. PMI's business analysis initiative is based on extensive market research. So PMI, so far, what they have worked in business analysis, they have carried out a lot of market research. Though, as I would say again and again, this was not the area of specialty for PMI. Still, they worked a lot on business analysis, and probably if you allow me to say, I think they worked even harder than IIBA. Provides a better understanding of how to improve business analysis practices on programs and projects. Naturally, our focus is more towards programs and projects, so we will talk about business analysis practices improvement only from the perspective of the programs and projects. Will lead to more tangible business outcomes. Naturally, if we are doing it rightly, we are expected to get better business results. Will help organizations exceed customer expectation, and that would make the customer happy if we can not only fulfill his requirement, but in some cases exceed his expectations. Then PMI has, as you might have observed so far, PMI has an increased interest or focus on business analysis, and let us see what is the concern. Requirements always are a concern for project management. Requirements keep changing. Requirements are not accurate. Requirement gathering is not accurate. Poor requirement recording, it could be a problem. So projects usually fail due to something wrong with the requirements. And as I was telling you, the biggest causes of failure, this is the second biggest cause of failure of any project or program, that the requirements were incorrect. Focus and importance of requirements will continue to gain more attention in the industry. So requirements are important. We cannot ever ignore them. And they will differ from case to case. For one specific case, the requirements could be different, and a very similar kind of another scenario in that the requirements will differ. PMI standards continue to evolve to recognize the significance of requirements in programs and projects. Global environment becomes more complex. Proactive organizations in requirements activities will gain competitive advantage. So if somebody really understands how these two things link together, how requirements can serve, good requirements can serve, deliver organizational or business value and make can you hear me? No, I think net is not working right now. Can you hear me? Please respond. Can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. So I was saying PMI standards continue to evolve to recognize the significance of requirements of program and projects. That is, as I said, PMI recognized it, so they paid more attention towards the significance of requirements, and for that they had to go all the way back to business analysis. Global environment becomes more complex. As the time passes, the way the challenges are more, the complexity is increasing, and we need to have more proactive organizations to deal with any situation. The requirement activities are to be, done, will gain competitive advantage if they are done properly, and they will reduce waste. We will not be putting in our effort into something which is not paying us off. We will only specifically and surgically be working on those requirements which are actually required, rather than wasting our time on unnecessary waste. Then it will help us delivering the projects that provide the value. This is the case when we do something, when we deliver some project, we are basically delivering value. Okay. As far as practitioners are concerned, organizations begin to recognize business analysis as a competitive advantage, as I just expressed in the last slide. So there is an increased demand of these kind of business analysis practitioners with these skills. BA jobs are on the rise, and it says that by 2022 it will increase even further by 19%, which is a great change. More jobs of business analysis nature would be there. Growing need for professionals to acquire skills needed to fill these critical positions. Okay, now who should be reading this? Who should be interested in the subject of business analysis? This practice guide is intended for anyone who is responsible for performing the business analysis work in whatever capacity. Whatever capacity, but if you are dealing with the work of the business analysis, whether you hold the title of business analyst or not, whether people call you a business analyst or they don't call you, you may be having an operational responsibility and an operational title like deputy manager something, but you actually would, if you are performing as a business analyst, then it is all right. So anyone who is directly or indirectly doing some business analysis work, this is a professional, a practitioner we are talking about. Developed to help practitioners obtain improvement in overall competency levels and in the application of business analysis on programs and projects. Repeatedly we are saying programs and projects. Now coming over to the question, what is business analysis? Right. So business analysis, just like project management, business analysis is the application of knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge of business analysis, the skills and experience of business analysis, and the tools and techniques which are required to be used in business analysis. You see, many of these tools and techniques might be common with the project management tools and techniques, but because this is leading towards the project management, so this should not be very strange for you. So why do we use them? Why do you apply your business analysis knowledge, skills and tools and techniques, and to what you are going to apply it? These are, first of all, you determine the problem within the organization and identify if there is a business need for that. First, you establish the business need in your organization. So if you are a business analyst, your first job is have an eye for problems in your organization, or I would rather say even opportunities. If you find that there are certain opportunities to be taken advantage of, you will also be on a watch out for that. But basically, opportunities may not be very visible, but problems are very visible. Problems cause the project to halt. I mean, not project. So far, we should not be talking about project. So organizations do halt due to problems. So as soon as a problem is risen, you should be able to recognize it as a business analyst and see if there exists a business need to address that problem. If this problem is not really affecting your organizational strategy, your way of working, then probably this is not your problem at all. I hope you understand my point. If there is a problem placed in front of you which you think does not relate to my organization, it does not impact the job of my organization, it does not impact the strategy, it does not add any value to my project, my organization, so such like thing is not your problem, and therefore such problems may be the problem of your parent organization or some other organization. So what you do is you escalate such problems or issues to the next higher level as if they can take the decision on the fate of those initiatives. So that is a determination and identification. Determination of problem and identification of business needs. And if there is no business need, there is no need to go ahead with business analysis. The job finishes here. For example, you have done a feasibility and it proves that this task, this work should not be done because it is not beneficial. So you better don't do it. Then is identify and recommend viable solutions for meeting those needs. Now, at a very holistic level, I am not asking you to name out exactly the durations and activities and costs and all that. No, we don't want to go that way because that would be done in detail when this business case materializes into a project. So identify and recommend viable solutions, meaning a general approach. What are the different options which could be taken to solve this problem and what are the viable solutions? So these viable solutions will be very abstract and those will be identified and recommended to the next higher level of management. Third important task is elicit, document and manage stakeholder requirements in order to meet business and project objectives. Elicitation, I have already told you yesterday that elicitation is to get the requirements out of the stakeholder by any means possible. Do not expect that your stakeholder would could articulate their problem to you. They may hint upon it, but they may not be able to express it in so many words as you can understand. In that case, the documentation and the management of the stakeholder requirements, this all is must be to meet the business as well as the project objective. Facilitate the successful implementation of the product, service, or result of the program or project. So once you have elicited information, then you will help the project manager who would be actually working on the project and facilitate him in successful implementation of his work, as if the desired product, service, or result can be produced and the benefits could be yielded to the organization, business value could be increased within the organization, and many other things can happen. Business analysis is a set of activities performed to identify a business need. Naturally, you can read up. First of all, we identify the business need. Recommend relevant solutions. That is point number 2. Identify and recommend viable solutions. And to elicit, document and manage requirements. That is point number 3. So business analysis is defined as such a set of activities. As far as domains and tasks are concerned, I have already explained to you 5 domains and the different tasks we have to do within it. But naturally, once we study business analysis in detail, each one of those tasks and processes would be discussed in further detail. Business analysis involves effort in a variety of domains, from identifying business needs to solution implementations. So at the level of business analysis, you establish the business need after very careful elicitation of information and collecting it together. And the second part of it is now what to do. जी सामने हाँ जी बिल्कुल ठीक है
आवाज आ रही है? अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
जी बिल्कुल अभी तो बहुत अच्छी
हेलो ओके ओके थैंक गॉड
ये वो उसी
ठीक है सर मैं म्यूट करती हूँ
सेटिंग आपका होगा छोटा मोटा लेकिन ये क्या
सॉरी सर
आ रही है आपकी
चलें ठीक है सही ओके
चलें जी थोड़ी आसानी हो जाएगी बात करने में भी पता चल जाता है कि कोई मैसेज सही पहुंचा नहीं पहुंचा क्वेश्चन आंसर
जी सर जी सर जी सर
अच्छा जी so we were talking about the business analysis domains and tasks. Business analysis involves effort in a variety of domains and I have already explained to you all those 5 domains. From identifying business need to solution implementation. Within each of these domains, there are series of supporting tasks also discussed. And each of these tasks are defined and explored within this practice guide. Now the same task which I just talking about in the syllabus, now we are going to go deep into it and we will discuss each one of those tasks in further detail. And naturally, for doing those tasks, several tools and techniques which are to be used, they will also be discussed within that. The tasks refine the broad definition and provide specific information about other important aspects of business analysis, like facilitating identification of problem and opportunity analysis for portfolio investment. Now, this is yet another dimension. I did not talk about portfolio as yet, but all the projects and programs of an organization are actually running under a portfolio. A portfolio decides the fate of the program, which projects and programs should be. So, business analysis task will actually provide help into identifying the problem and opportunity analysis for portfolio investment, meaning whether we should do it or not. In this organization, do we is this problem, is this business case as important that we should actually work on it, or there are other important things on higher priority, and if there are other important things on higher priority, then probably we will not be doing this job, we will be doing the more important job, depending upon the funding available. Understanding the business environmental context and constraints. Analyzing requirements, verifying requirements, and then evaluating your solution. That is all what we are going around. Together, the domains and these tasks that are performed within them provide a thorough definition of business analysis. Now, let us look at the application of business analysis. Business analysis is conducted in support of many business initiatives. And what are those business initiatives? Just look at it. There could be operations running under the business analysis. There could be programs and projects running under the business analysis. So, whatever is happening under it, the primary focus of the practice guide is business analysis in support of projects and programs. As far as the operational activities are concerned, which could include the monitoring, modeling, and forecasting, that is not part of this syllabus. But we are more inclined, because we are doing the PMI PBA, we are much more inclined towards establishing a linkage with the projects and programs and following that up. There are some activities of operational nature in business analysis also. We will talk a bit about them, but may not go in much of detail. The practice applies wherever business analysis is conducted. Who performs business analysis? First of all, the skill set and expertise needed for the business analysis. These are the skills and competencies which a business analyst should have. Now, if you are a project manager, you may see that some or most of these skills are very similar to the project manager, but not all. Maybe the emphasis may change, but almost the same type of tools or skills or competencies a project manager also must have. But business analyst, these are specifically the skills of the business analyst. Analytical skills. He should be able, he or she, business analyst should be able to do analytical thinking, because by the nature of the job, business analysis means analytics. So you must be very strong in your analytics. You must be able to do different kinds of, use different kinds of tools and techniques for doing this kind of analysis. Then is the business and industry knowledge. You see, if we are doing projects, it's not the matter how well you do projects, but actually linking those projects with the organization or business environment, that is important. Similarly, in business analysis, it is just not the art of doing the business analysis, but linking it to the business knowledge and the industry knowledge, how the whole picture fits together. That is important to understand, and this skill should be there. Then communication skills, a very common skill which we require in the project manager also, and business analyst. Naturally, we need to have much more of communication skill with business analyst, because the whole of the job of business analyst is about dealing with the stakeholders, with the customers. He is continuously communicating with them, collecting requirements, and verbal and written communication is going on all the time. So anybody who is not good at the language, written or verbal skills, or the communication skills, or the business writing skills, probably this person is not good business analyst. So if at all you decided to get into the business analysis field, then probably you must acknowledge that these skills have to be greatly enhanced. Then is conflict management. You understand that a business analyst is going to be talking to many stakeholders, and about the same requirement, a number of stakeholders may have different opinions. There might be conflict amongst the stakeholders about the same requirement. So this business analyst should be capable enough to resolve those conflicts and manage those conflicts, and establish a consensus between the opinions. Then the next part is creative and critical thinking. Now, interestingly, creative thinking is 180 degrees opposite to the critical thinking. Do you know what is the difference between creative and critical thinking? What is your opinion? Just hold on. I have put off your mic. Yeah. Now you can.
Yes, sir. So creative thinking means new ideas and thinking out of the box. If you are working for, some project, we are thinking of creating some project phase. So we think out of the box. That is the creative thinking, new ideas.
Exactly, you are right.
And critical, yeah, critical thinking is basically how much we are strong in creating the workflow or means more business cases we cover.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Tell me one more thing.
this is
One more thing. What do you know about logical thinking?
logical thinking is basically means the uh, means that seems logical things that works logical you I mean जिसको यूजर जो है आसानी से एक्सेप्ट कर ले जो एक नॉर्मल सिनेरियो हो दैट इज लॉजिकल
Okay. You might be right, but you see, um, logic is basically the parent of all knowledges, right? Like, you say biology. Biology is made up of two words, bias and logos. And logos is the logic. Every knowledge is based on logic. इसको उर्दू में मंतक कहते हैं, मंतक.
जी 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 मंतक
तो मंतक जो है वो इन सारे अलूम का बाप है.
जी
And great people like what do we call them? Socrates, Bocrates, Aristotle, all these people they work towards establishing the logic.
जी
What they gave us is logic. Now that logic, if we follow, that is the reasoning. That is the reasoning. We say this is not possible because this is this. So when we talk with reason, this is logical thinking. When we talk with reason, it is logical thinking. If we emphasize and go deeper into it, this is critical thinking. जिसे आप बाल की खाल उतारना कहते हैं. Critical thinking.
ठीक है
But still we are being logical. Remember, critical thinking is logical. But this is more deeper than the logical thinking.
okay
Creative
means we finding the reasons you are saying finding the reasons
No, giving the reason. Giving the reason.
giving the reasons of the logical is a critical thinking
It is always with जो आप किसी से बात करते हैं, you give your argument to convince that person, and that is based on a solid logic. Because there is gravity, therefore this thing is falling down, right? So this is the logic, and this is strongly bound into some scientific proof or some mantak, some logic, which has already been discovered. So you are discussing and proving yourself right according to that logic. And when you go deeper into that logic and you critically analyze a logic, then this is critical thinking. So you are even better than a logical thinker now. You are a critical thinker. But that is not enough. There are places where you have to go out of the box. You said very rightly, creative thinking is about thinking out of the box. Now, thinking out of the box is completely opposite to the logical thinking.
critical thinking
It is completely opposite.
yeah logical thinking
It is
yes
it is not critical thinking. It is not logical thinking. It is thinking like a dream, like a dreamer. So you are dreaming on. So this is the creative thinking. So why do you need to do creative thinking? Any point in your mind?
we need to do the creative thinking because to bring new ideas and um, new ideas to enhance something, to
Okay.
create new things,
Okay. Okay. We
to
are
bring new
studying
logics
analysis.
in a way.
We are studying business analysis, and I come up with a creative idea here that there should be music in the class. What do you think about it?
Okay, music in the class.
Yes.
No, we, that is not logical. That is actually creative.
That is creative.
Usually we do not.
Benefit of this,
We do not have actually. That is a creative.
you don't find any advantage of having music in the class.
It will not be boring. It will actually keep um, um, it will keep alert,
Hmm.
and it will keep the audience energetic.
Right.
So we will not get lost during the lecture.
But initially, once I said there should be music in the class, your immediate opinion was that this is something irrelevant, isn't it?
Hmm.
ऐसे ही था ना?
Yes,
So
yes.
this is interesting.
Hmm.
When you come up with a creative idea that is so when you come up with a creative idea that is laughable, that looks idiotic, you laugh at the person who is giving that idea. But later, when you think a little closely, you find that yes, there could be a logic established to this idea and my present situation, and then you start finding a way to link those two ideas, and this linkage will give you new ways of solving your problem. That is called creativity. Got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, there is a lot of noise in the background, therefore I keep switching off your mic. Um, Next thing, we'll talk more about creativity and these things later. Cultural awareness. You see, the business analyst is not working in a set environment only. That is, you are a business analyst in Pakistan, and this is a pharmaceutical company, and you are just living in a specific kind of environment. No, not really. You may have to be culturally, you may have to be interacting with culturally diverse people. Maybe you are interacting on telephone or physically with a German, American, Indian. So probably you have to be aware about the needs of other cultures, how they think, what do they do, what they don't do. So these kind of things should be taken, should be understood. You should be aware about it. Now, we people who do not have much exposure, we are attuned to our own cultural environment, and you might have heard a term which is called culture shock. Have you ever heard the culture shock?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
What is it?
Yes, sir. Um, Sir, like when we have meetings or we meet some our global clients, everybody has different way of meeting, and everybody has a different way of speak, and they have different way of knowledge sharing. They have different way of some are very reserved and some are very open. So we have to be very careful while working with different types of cultures,
Exactly.
cultural people. This is what I understand. Right?
Culture shock you will observe when for the very first time you go out of your country and visit another country. So have you been abroad?
No, sir, I have not been abroad, but I have, I have the online web sessions and meetings,
Okay.
project meetings online.
First time you will go abroad, no matter how much you have been interacting with these people, first time you will go abroad, the first few days will be a culture shock for you. No matter you have been watching English movies, no matter you have been interacting with these people, no matter you are very educated, but still for everyone, it is a cultural shock. And after 2 or 3 days, you start getting stabilizing again. So that is a culture. And people who travel a lot, they are more culture aware. If you think that you are culture aware while sitting here, that is a mistake. I must tell you, you are not even culture aware about your own country. Have you been every part of your country? Have you interacted with people from every part of your country, for every
No,
language? Not at all.
no.
Basically, we are not even local culture aware. But I will leave this discussion to that. But
Yes.
it all depends upon your job, what type of job you are doing, and relevant to that, we must be aware about the culture, as if we don't get the culture shock, because culture shock is really very bad. This is a psychological shock you get. You see, I'll give you an example. First time I went to USA, the first 2 3 days, beside all those things, the things that look different, air looks less polluted, and whatever, those things your mind keeps capturing, and you are in a state of awe. But one thing I noticed, that there is a peculiar smell coming from Americans.
Okay.
A peculiar smell which was not bearable by me. And I was telling everyone, yeah, but what kind of a smell is coming out of these people? What is this? What nonsense? After 3 days, I could not smell it anymore. It felt all right. It felt all right. Actually, what happens when you go to another place, you adopt the flora and fauna of that area, and you become as smelly as they are. You understand my point?
Yes, sir.
So you actually become as smelly as they are, and therefore you don't smell them. Similarly, if they are coming to Pakistan, they will be amazed by the smells and everything, and the way people interact and all that. No, their big shock is that men are meeting each other like friends, and गले मिल रहे होते हैं, ये कर रहे होते हैं. वहां आप गले मिलके तो दिखाई दो बंदे एक दूसरे को. They don't. वो हाथ भी शेक करना पसंद नहीं करते. बहुत ज्यादा कोई हो जाए तो कहते हैं अच्छा चलो ये छोटा सा हाथ ले लो मेरा. Otherwise they don't even shake hands male to male. गले लगना तो बिल्कुल ये क़यामत है उनके लिए. ओ ये क्या हो गया. So ये चीजें जो है, these will we must be culture aware about these things. Anyways, this is a very long story. इसमें बहुत सी बातें आ सकती हैं. Next thing is decision making. A business analyst has to make a lot many decisions. He has to decide on the requirements. He has to decide on the solution. He has to interact with the project manager, and when the job is being done, he has to keep a watch on and give certain decisions at several places. So the tools and techniques for decision making, he must know very well, as if he can use them appropriately whenever and wherever they are required. Facilitation. What is facilitation? Facilitation is not like some autocratic leader giving orders around. Facilitation is to facilitate the people around you as if they can comfortably and in a non-pressurized environment can work more effectively. This is facilitation. If you are a facilitator of a meeting, then you should not be, standing there with a danda. You should be encouraging people to speak, imposing discipline in a friendly manner, and getting the job done. That's what is the purpose. Getting the job done. So facilitation is a great skill of a business analyst. There is familiarity with a multiple project and development methodologies. How the things can be done. Project development, project life cycles. What are the project life cycles? What are the development life cycles? Development means the product life cycle. How the products are developed, how the projects are done, and all that. I hope you understand the difference between project and product life cycle. But these methodologies actually guide you through that. So a business analyst must also be aware about them. And next thing is influence. He must know how to influence. I will again say, influencing is again not by power. If I yield more power than you, therefore I will influence you by my attitude. No. Influencing is heart to heart. You, what is the word? You inspire others. A good leader inspires others rather than influencing others. So anyways, somehow we have to get the job done. We have to adopt an attitude through which we can convey the message to the other people how to do something. So that is called influence. Then issue management skills. We understand issues, forget about everything, the project management, this and that. You are a business analyst sitting in operations of the organization, and you are keeping a watch on what is happening inside and outside, within the organization and outside of the organization. And there's lot many things happening. It is just like you are traveling on a starship, and there is a lot happening in space, and within your ship also there are a lot many conflicts going on and things going on. So internal and external things are happening, but some of those things will become issues. Issue rises when something cannot be resolved by someone who is responsible for that. So, for example, I am responsible for looking after our job in a conveyor belt process, and somehow that conveyor belt stops. So, not only my job stops, but the whole process stops. Therefore, I need to quickly resolve it because this happened in my area and everybody is looking towards me, and I am supposed to immediately get rid of this problem. How this issue can be managed? This issue, naturally, the person responsible under whom this issue has risen is the very first person to take action. And he must have some liberties to take action. He may be able to, okay, what can you do when your conveyor belt process, in the conveyor belt process, the conveyor belt stops in your area. It stops in your area. What can you do? जी.
हेलो.
जी जी.
यस सर. सर इसमें एक चीज मैं मिस कर रही हूँ. जो लिस्ट में जैसे हमें बताते हैं कि बिहेवियर जो है ना वो थोड़ा फर्म होना चाहिए बिजनेस एनालिस्ट का. इट शुड नॉट बी रिजिड कि आप जो है वो अगर कोई रिक्वायरमेंट है आप समझते हैं कि वो नहीं है तो वो आप उसको चेंज कर लें, मतलब मोल्ड कर लें कि अगर वो व्हेन वी वर्क विद द स्टेक होल्डर्स. सो आई थिंक दिस पॉइंट
फर्म होना बहुत अच्छी बात है. प्रॉब्लम इज धोस धांधली वाला नहीं होना चाहिए. फर्म का मतलब है कि व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इट कॉन्फिडेंटली. दिस इज फर्म. इट्स नॉट दैट गाली देकर चल ये काम कर, ऐसे नहीं होगा. फर्म का मतलब है कि अगले को कहीं ये महसूस ना हो कि मैं कमजोरी से हुक्म दे रहा हूँ, मैं जो बात कह रहा हूँ वो कमजोरी से करूँ, मुझे कुछ यकीन नहीं है अपनी बात पे. फर्म होने का मतलब है कि मैं कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ एक बात को जामे तरीके से बयान कर रहा हूँ.
Okay, but business analyst should not be rigid.
No,
like
no. फॉर्म होना अच्छी बात है.
Okay.
If you believe what you are saying is right, you are confident, you will have the power to stand on that point also. But if somebody gives you enough reason, you don't need to be rigid on your point. If the other person is giving you a valid reason, a valid argument, Why should you not be agreeing? So you should not.
Mhm. Means we should not back off with the business requirement. If it is fulfilling the business needs, so we should, we can change whatever the reasons is given,
मेरा
unless it
एक बात
this is
बताएं,
what
मैं आपकी बात से एग्री करता हूँ, मुझे एक बात बताएं, गलती क्या
जी
नहीं
सर
हो सकती किसी से, आपसे, आपके ऊपर वाले से, आपसे नीचे वाले से, गलती तो किसी से भी हो सकती है.
जी सर.
Who set the business requirement? Maybe your boss. Could he not be wrong? So why am I so rigid that no, this business requirement has to be fulfilled and everybody must follow that? And no questions asked. No, this is no way. You are not being rigid. You are being stubborn. Listen to the other people. Listen to their argument, and if you can't decide anything on that by yourself, carry that argument to your boss and try to convince him with that argument. That, and I trust me, your boss, after having heard those arguments, will feel that he may even have to change it. And naturally, he is your boss. If he says no, do as we are told, only then you do as you are told. It is your duty to highlight any differences, right? But again, you don't
Yes
have to.
sir.
If your boss says no, I know better, and you have to do it with this restriction or constraint, then I will do it. I will not be rigid on my point. No, sir, I will not work because I have told you this cannot be done. So, no, you are not in a place to be rigid here again. So, whatever you were
Okay.
told, then you have to follow that.
Yes.
So, I was talking about the issue management. I said, wherever the issue arises, the person responsible for that area has certain powers and he tries to resolve the issue within his powers. What if he can't resolve the issue? It is not within his powers to eradicate the problem. Then there must have been, it's an organizational issue. I mean, organizational policy should be there to how to escalate an issue.
Sir, then we will actually discuss with the
With the
then we will discuss with the management if it is such issue which we are not able to resolve within the teams.
but the management should have already defined in its policies the issue escalation path, right? So the person who faced the problem, to whom should he escalate the issue? His next immediate boss. And if he can't resolve the issue, who is the next in chain? Who is the next in chain? And this way, through proper channel, this issue will come to the CEO. If it remains unresolved, if this issue is resolved anywhere in between, issue is finished. There's no more story about it. And if it is unresolved, that means nobody in the chain had the power to resolve this issue. This is now an organizational issue. CEO has now been approached. The issue has been escalated up to the level of CEO. So issue escalation path must be defined, and issues should be managed in a way. You make an issue log. You write issue number, date, what is the issue, who raised it, and then what is the action taken by first escalation path, what is the action taken by a second escalation path, what is the action taken, and where it is resolved. So wherever it is resolved, the issue is finished there. But it is kept in the record. Issue log is kept in the record. Similarly, we need to have the leadership skills. Actually, not many things are there in the leadership skills. I can't just count them out right here. Negotiation skills. You have to talk with lot many sponsors and stakeholders and customers and all that. You have to, and you also maybe going into agreements with certain sellers or contractors. So You must have very good negotiation skills. Again, this is something to be learned. All of us, we are not as good in negotiations. You might
Mhm.
observe there are certain people who are so expert in negotiations that they will amicably resolve any matter. Probably I can't do it, you can't do it, but maybe another person, he can amicably resolve any matter. Then you must have the organizational skills. You must have the political awareness where the organization is tilted towards and how should you address the problem. Then you should have very good presentation skills. When I say presentation skills, this is how you present your point of view to your bosses, to your stakeholders. So, in a way, yes, of course, PowerPoint is also one of the presentation skills, but how you present your data to others, maybe through telephone, through your verbal presentation, or through your a diagram you make, or your sketch you draw right in front of that person and try to make him understand that thing. So these all are your presentation skills. So you must be working on that as well. Problem solving, because business analyst is going to be all the time looking and looking for the problem. He's hunting for the problems. So he should have a very good systemic mind, and he should be able to solve the problems easily. So a highly intelligent person is required with problem solving skills. He should be able to think of the whole holistic view of the whole systems thinking, rather than thinking in parts. He should be technically aware. Some expertise in technical area should be there with the business analyst. Otherwise, he would be badly, fooled by others. He should have the ability to work effectively in a team environment, including virtual teams. So you must understand that in business analysis, there are a lot many chances that you are dealing with people from different countries and you have to interact with them virtually. That is a new trend, and people have some experience in that. People do interact with virtual teams, but um, this is an intricate subject. This is not an easy subject. You must not take it as granted. There are very many intricacies in virtual teams. So these were some of the skills and competencies which we must be building on as a business analyst. Next topic is how organizations implement business analysis. Okay, this practice guide presents the work of business analysis and does not define the specifics of the business analysis role. The reason for this approach is because the roles are defined in various ways across organizations. Roles are influenced by the type of industry, size of organization, maturity of the organization in terms of program management, project management, and business analysis practices, and the type of project lifecycle in use. So this is a very good argument which they have come up with. They say we will focus on the work of the business analysis rather than on the role, because the role is highly dynamic. You could be dealing with doing business analysis for a program, linking with a program, or linking with a project, or maybe on a agile project life cycle, or a waterfall project life cycle, or the organization big or small. So everywhere the role of business analysis will differ. So if we can try to define the role of the business analyst, then probably everyone will start mapping it to every organization. Everyone will try. This is how it should be done everywhere. Whereas there is no one way of doing business analysis in every organization. Every organization can formulate their own method. Like some organizations do not have project managers at all. The business analyst, it is the additional duty of business analysts to manage the projects. Now, I have seen those organizations which have project managers but no business analyst. So who is doing the business analysis? they give it as an additional duty to the project manager to do it. So this is very strange. What kind of what role is of business analysis in different organizations. That has to be defined. But first of all, we must focus on what is the job of business analysis. What is the work under business analysis which should be done? If you are trying to speak, I have put off your mic. You can always raise your hand and I would know. But if you want to speak now, I'm putting it on.
Yes, sir. I'm understanding that. I have a question. I will raise my hand.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. While organizations implement roles in a variety of forms, it is far from effective to define what business analysis is than to specify what comprises the role of a business analyst. There are many books I have read where business analyst role is defined properly. Well, if it is defined properly, then probably it cannot be changed for various reasons. Or, for that matter, business analyst role would be defined in several ways, should be defined in several ways. And there would be many templates for the business analyst. A business analyst will interact with the project. A business analyst will interact with the program. A business analyst who is dealing with the problems. That kind of thing. So we don't want to do that. An organization may find that business analysis tasks for a project are completed best by assigning a team of business analysts to the work. This is one school of thought. Some organizations think that business analysts should be given the project. The work could also be completed by one business analyst by someone assigned to perform a combined PA, project management and business analysis role. A hybrid role can be there, or any other combination. Ultimately, the project success, the important factor is that the project business analysis activities are being performed effectively, consistently, and with sufficient quality. We are not bothered about how you do business analysis. We are more bothered about what all was the work of business analysis, no matter who was doing it, but has it been done effectively, consistently, and with quality. If you are doing that, it does not matter to me if it was done by a project manager or by a business analyst or whatever the role the person was. If you have got separate business analysts and separate project managers, good enough. If you have 20 project managers and 20 business analysts are working in a very coherent way, and you are producing the same effectiveness results, then why not? But I have no problem with that. It is less important to know the title of the person performing the business analysis work. It is more important whether the work is being done or not. Okay. The approach is to present the work of business analysis and not to define the specific of business analysis. As we have said, because roles can be defined in various ways. And we have already talked about how these roles can be defined in program, project, business analysis practices, life cycles, and all that. Let's look at some roles which are being performed by a business analyst. Business analyst could be an agile team member. Business analyst could be a business architect. In different organizations, they have different names. He could also be known as a business intelligence analyst. You might have heard in some organizations they have a department by the name of business intelligence, and they have got analysts sitting there. Basically, these are business analysts. They call them BI professionals, but they are business analysts. Then in some organizations you may have business process analysts. Some organizations will call them business subject matter experts. Then we have got various other kind of analysts. All kinds of analysts are business analysts. Data analysts, functional analysts, operational analysts, user experience analysts, enterprise business analyst, product manager, product owner, project manager, requirements engineer, software requirement engineer, systems engineer, value engineer, requirements manager, as many names as you can think of. But any one of these could be doing the work of business analysis. Okay, so good so far.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Next heading is a relationship between the project manager and business analyst and other roles, which we have already been, we have started talking about it, and now we can elaborate more on it. Project manager and business analyst serve in critical leadership roles on programs and projects. When they work in partnership and collaborate, if I'm talking when the project manager and business analyst are two different persons. So they must have some kind of relationship, and we are trying to establish that relationship. So they are serving in a critical leadership role, even if it is a program or a project. So when they are working in partnership and they collaborate effectively, the chances of success are very high. This relationship is usually not always optimally aligned. Meaning what? होना तो ऐसा ही चाहिए. They should be optimally aligned. But in some organizations, the business analyst is more powerful than the project manager, and he looks in, supersedes the project manager in various cases where the project manager should be working. And in some cases, the project manager is more important, the business analyst is less important. So, if they are not working collaboratively, they may be ineffective. They are not optimally aligned. They should be aligned in such a way that the work is important and work should not suffer. If they can produce better results for the good of the project, for the good of the work, only then they are optimally aligned. A division between these two roles usually occur. Instead of working in partnership, they work independently. That is also a great problem. Business analyst is working under someone else and he is in a different frame of mind. And project manager is answerable to a project sponsor and he has been told something else. Now, they do not coordinate. Project manager and business analyst do not coordinate, but they are working on the same thing. From the different perspectives though, but they are working on the same thing. So they come at odds with one another. They have conflicts. Just because their understanding is different, their bosses are different, their orientation is different. There are some things common. You both knows that the stakeholders' interest is prime. Still, project manager is more concerned about the deliverable, whereas the business analyst would be more concerned about the benefits or the value which will be ultimately delivered, not the product. You understand? I will explain this point later. Product, service, or result we deliver is the output of the project. And once we deliver it, then that thing ultimately yields result. For example, I am manufacturing a glass in my project, right? I manufacture the glass and glass is delivered to the customer. Project job is done. Project manager is only concerned about the glass. But, and even stakeholder has accepted the glass. But this glass proves to be of no use to the organization or the customer. Although this is according to the specification, it is according to the requirement, but ultimately they find this glass is of no use to us. If the benefit which this glass had to give them is not fulfilled, then no value comes to the organization. So, due to such like things, we may have problems. The odds, they may be at odds with one another. There might be confusion existing due to the perceived overlap of work. Like data requirements gathering. We know and understand business analyst goes into in-depth requirements and elicitation and gathering and analysis and all that. But the same is the role of project manager also. Before the project manager starts the project, He also confirms those requirements, he gathers more requirements, he analyzes those requirements, he interacts with the stakeholder. So there is a duplicacy of role. So business analyst may be saying, well, this is my duty, why are you doing it? Or maybe project manager says, well, you have done it already, so why should I do it? So things like that. So such confusions will exist, and they have to be, if they are working in collaboration, probably these confusions can be eradicated. Inconsistent definitions. Like I'm calling something a product and he's calling something else. He's calling benefit or he is calling the deliverable. So among these two rules, that the terms and definitions spoken should be consistent throughout the organization. Inconsistent definition and use of role across industries, organizations, and departments might cause certain problems. Nowadays, BA is in fashion. Business analysts are being hired. More business analysts are being employed by those valuing business analysis. Naturally, those organizations who have understood the role of a business analysis, they are trying to hire more business analysts. So, by seeing that, it seems that maybe the role of project manager is going down. So again, there is a problem, and we have to see how we can create a balance between PM and BA. Now, some of the collaboration points between these two roles, PM and BA. This practice guide is intended to clarify those roles through the use of collaboration points. Now, this one thing is very good about this book is it gives you the collaboration points. So, let us see how does she explain it. These visual callouts are intended to emphasize areas where a collaboration between project manager and business analyst is important and critical to the project success. So wherever both of these roles have to interact, this has to be this is highlighted that this is important for the success of the project. It explains the areas of perceived overlap. This also shows that this much job assignment for both roles is similar, and how to work in this similar but not the same. Collaboration points are also used to call out opportunities for business analysis to work together with other roles in support of programs and projects. Then the need to build the relationship. Collaboration between project manager and business analysis provides greater understanding of the work performed with business analysis. So, you understand, I will explain later, but project manager also, when he takes on a job, he has a responsibility that he ensures that whatever I'm going to do is really going to be able to deliver the product, service, or result which I have been tasked to create. And the same decision has already been taken up by business analyst. He has done his detailed analysis, and he has a bigger view of the whole picture, but project manager is only looking till the deliverable. So, if we can understand that we can collaborate these two people, they will have better understanding, greater understanding how this work is performed by the business analyst. Explaining how it is essential to overall work of the project, how this business analysis process is important for doing this job, for doing this project. So both of them, business analysts will realize how important the project manager's job is, and project manager will appreciate the business analysis work done already. When these two are not in synchronization, there are tangible and intangible impacts to the project success. Some are visible flaws which you can see, and some are not visible, but those are like rusting the relationship. Lack of synergy will occur, and that would give rise to duplicacy of effort. Project inefficiencies will occur. Critical work might be overlooked or even duplicated sometimes. Stakeholders are confused that this person is saying something else, this person is saying something else. They are not speaking the same language. Project team fails to operate at an optimum level of efficiency. Taking actionable steps to bridge the gap between the roles should provide impacts to work performance and ultimately to organizational success. So we need to take certain steps and we need to reduce this kind of asynchronous, unsynergetic relationship. And you see, this is not only between the PM and the VA. If you look at the organization, especially government organizations, you will see hubs of power existing within the same organization, and they call it power politics. So this group is also doing the same job, this group is also doing the same job, and they are hiding it from others. They are not collaborating. A lot of effort of the organization is wasted in this way. We don't want to develop this kind of relationship. We want to have a synergetic and collaborative relationship. Next point is the requirement. What is our requirement? Requirement is a condition or capability that is required to be present in a product, service, or result to satisfy a contract or other formally imposed specification. Now look at it. If I am in a contract with you and you are assigning me, you have assigned me the job maybe of teaching you, it is your requirement. You are putting in a condition that you should teach me to this level of education and you should give me this level of understanding. So the condition and capability you want to achieve, that is required by you to be present in by the end of this training, that I should provide that service that will enhance your capability, your knowledge in this area, as if you can pass the PBA exam. So that will satisfy the contract or other formally imposed specifications. Whatever are the specifications, they can be written down, or sometimes in contracts where we have verbal understanding, then we fulfill that. But requirement must be clear. Our requirement represents something that can be met by a product or service, or can address a need of a business person or group of people. Either you want to have a tangible good or maybe an intangible service. Like you see, what I'm training you is a kind of an intangible service. So we might have a contract about it. But if you wanted me to sell you a business analysis book, that would be, I would be delivering you a product. A requirement should be independent of the design of the solution that addresses it. You are just telling me the requirement that you should teach me. You are not telling me how to teach you. You understand my point? Your requirement is not posing any restrictions to the way I am teaching. Rather, you can pose some restrictions, but naturally you can't bind everything. You can't make a syllabus yourself, and you can't give me the lectures to teach you. That will be stupid. So some parts will have to be designed by the person who is providing the requirements. So it should be independent of design. Let that person fulfill the requirements, design it by themselves. A requirement may explain a feature that is to be met by a product or software component. So when you are giving me a requirement, you should tell me that what feature do you want to meet. So you told me that you want to pass the PBA exam very soon, maybe in 2 to 3 months. So probably that is the litmus test. That is the benefit I would be looking at. Our training will finish, but the benefit will be incurred after say 3 months. So from a business analyst point of view, the business work is going on. Business need is yet not fulfilled. Although the training has been completed, the project has been completed, project has delivered the training, and you have understood it, but until and unless you appear in the exam and you pass the exam, the ultimate target is not achieved. The business value is not increased. The benefit is not delivered. When a specific type of requirement is under discussion, the term requirement is preceded by a qualifier such as this is a stakeholder requirement, this is a business requirement, this is a solution requirement. So there are various types of requirements. So the source of that requirement must be indicated, like who stakeholder has given this requirement. This is the requirement from the business side. This is the requirement from the solution side. This is the requirement from the quality side. So this is the basic definition of the requirement. Who has the responsibility for the requirements? It should be assigned to resources that have sufficient business subject matter expertise and decision-making authority. Once the requirements have been established, the responsibility, who should be made responsible for a specific requirement? Naturally, the person who should be able to do it, who should have sufficient knowledge about that product, and who can have the decision-making authority, he should be made responsible for that thing. The role with responsibility to conduct business analysis may depend upon the project lifecycle. Should be assigned to resources with sufficient business analysis skills and expertise. The project manager is accountable for ensuring the requirements related work is accounted for in the project management plan and that requirements related activities are performed on time, within budget, and deliver value. You see, this much is project manager responsible for. But who is looking at the long-term benefit? Business analyst is looking at the long-term benefit. Now coming over to the types of different requirements. Requirements are specified for the purpose of clarifying and communicating a business need or required capability. As we have said, there could be business requirements, there could be stakeholder requirements and all that. So we'll talk about this. This practice guide uses the term requirement in the broad sense. When performing the work of requirements elicitation, documentation, and requirement management, it is important to understand the type of requirement being specified. Is the static requirement a business need? Is it a customer need? So whose need is it? So whomsoever's need is it, that requirement will be associated with that. To provide clarity and context to the issue, requirements are often categorized by type. So these are some of the types in front of you. If you can see them, please confirm.
Yes, sir, I can see that business requirement, stakeholder requirement, solution requirement.
So you see, these are some of the requirements. And these are business level things. No, what is the overall business requirement? What business value has to be achieved through doing this job? This is a business requirement. My organization demands that this benefit, this value should be generated. Naturally, every organization wants to be benefited out of it, so they actually want to increase the business value. Let me explain what is business value and how it is increased. Let us suppose you are working in an organization. If someone decides to sell this organization today, how much will it cost? What will be the bid?
Okay.
How do you
That is a business value. That is the business value we are adding in the project.
Exactly. We're talking about business value. So what is the worth of the business at that specific point in time? This is not only the tangible value. It is not only the sum total of all the assets. This contains the name you have established in the market. There's a place you have been working in, and it has been famous for doing wonderful jobs. It is the logo you are using. It is so famous. So all these things put together give added value, and this is the today's worth of this business. This is the business value. So whatever initiatives we undertake under this business must keep adding to the business value. If a specific initiative is not actually of adding any value to the business, then from the business point of view, this is useless.
Yes. Like we give the example of glass. If we say that the glass is plain, that maybe it will not have that value. If it is carved or maybe it has something painted on it, so it is adding its value.
Of course, of course,
Just like this.
of course. So this project or initiative that we are trying to undertake must actually add value to my organization.
Mhm.
And naturally, if this is the first time we are doing an agile project, for example. It is the first time our organization is doing an agile project. We did not have any experience in it. Although we'll do the agile project for the customer and customer will be benefited, but for the future to come, in my business value, I will have a credential added that we also have experience of managing agile projects. And ultimately, not only we will also be bidding for the agile projects in future, but we will capitalize on that, and our price, our bid will keep increasing. Thus, it will increase the business value of my business.
Mhm.
So what are the business requirements? What does business impose on this initiative? So those are the business requirements. What are the different stakeholders requirements? Stakeholders include a lot many people. This is not a small group of people. So I have to individually look at different stakeholders and keep a record of all of their requirements. Trust me, many of those requirements may be very foolish. They may not be relevant. So I have to be very patient with the stakeholders. I have to gather all the requirements later. We'll have to talk with them, communicate with them, negotiate with them, as if unnecessary requirements can be eradicated.
Mhm.
Right? Then,
Yes.
once the business analyst has established the requirements, he must have come up with a solution. The solution will look like this. So that solution must have certain restrictions and certain requirements of itself. Those are the solution requirements. This solution will have this thing in common. These requirements must be fulfilled to complete the solution. So that is
Can you repeat the solution requirement? Can you repeat the solution requirement?
again, requirement was the capability we wanted to bring.
Solution requirement. What is solution requirement?
Okay? A business
Solution requirement.
I'm saying the business requirement was to bring in a capability. Stakeholder was
Mhm.
having its own requirement. But the solution business analyst has suggested that and that solution imposes certain restrictions and constraints and specific requirements to be fulfilled for that solution to be complete.
Okay.
So these are the solution requirements that I would say these are basically the solution should be capable of doing this should be capable of doing this, and this. These are the solution requirements. Then are functional and non-functional requirements. Now, functional
Mhm.
and non-functional requirements. Functional are those requirements. Functional are those requirements which are the specifications, the functions and features which should be included in the solution. You understand my point? For
Yes,
example,
sir.
the dimension you want to make a box, you give that this box is 2 feet. So these are the specifications. The box should be made of wood and this type of wood. So all these things are functions and this box should be able to do this specific function. So these are the functions and features which should be included in the functional requirements. Then there are some non-functional requirements that this box we have designed certain things associated with the functions, but they are non-functional. Like we said, the box should be 2 feet wide, but uh, how much wider is acceptable to us? Is 3 feet okay with me? No. Is 2 feet and 1 inch okay with me? No. Is 2 feet and 2.1 feet is okay with me? 2 feet and an inch is okay with me?
Okay.
Just a moment. There's a lot of noise from your side, so I'm closing it off. Okay, so non-functional requirements are generally the tolerances, acceptable tolerances within the functional requirements. So those are the non-functional requirements. You said this wood should be light brown, but how much light brown? What is the extent of being brown in the maximum minimum side? This is the tolerance which is acceptable to us. These are the non-functional requirements. Okay, next is the transition requirements. Transition requirements is once I create this product, this might have to be shipped to the customer site, installed there, and then made operational. So I have made it in my factory and now transporting it, getting it to the customer site, installing it, training them to use it, and then uh, the new team adopting to that. This all is called transition requirements. After transitioning has been done, the project's deliverable has been delivered and have been accepted and is made operational. So transition is after the project is completed. That transition happens. You can say this is kind of a handing over to the customer. On top of that, there are certain project requirements and quality requirements. Now, as far as the project requirements are concerned, these are the project management requirements. To do this project management demands certain information. They demand a charter to be issued, a project manager to be assigned, and resources to be earmarked. So a project plan to be developed. So all these things might be the requirements from the project management side. Similarly, for your organization might be having its own quality policy. They might be ISO certified. So whatever quality standards your organization follow, your projects will also follow the same standards. Therefore, those quality requirements will also apply on the new initiatives. So quality requirements will also have to be taken into account. So this is just a small list of some of these requirements. There could be more requirements than these. But I hope you understood each one of these. Now.
Sir, I have a question related to transition requirements. Transition requirement isn't that if we created something, and if I take the same example of glass, if I created a glass, and in in the start I created the glass with white color, and then in the next time I make it some blue, then I will have white and blue both colors, then I add on something and I created some design on it, and this is the transition, right? We are improving it, some requirements, the same requirements, isn't that?
This is not transition. This is the product you are creating. What is the end product which was to be created? What is the end product which was to be created? The glass in a specific form, not the raw glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the raw glass. Actually, maybe what do you call? What is the product is in your mind? Give me a name. A painted glass or whatever.
Yeah, anything which is actually we are enhancing something, any function which
That is not
of a
important.
project
That is not important.
which is
That is a stakeholder requirement that this glass should be painted or enhanced or whatever. But the end product of the project would be the form the glass will be delivered. Tell me the name of that form. That delivered glass, what should it be named as? A painted glass?
that
Yeah.
yeah, painted glass.
Hey, for example, it is a painted glass. So painted glass is my solution. How it
Mm-hmm.
looks like is my functional requirement. Non-functional requirement,
Function.
yes. Functional requirement are the specifications, the design, how thick should be
Yeah.
the glass, or
Yeah.
what colors should have been used, or
Yeah.
what colors have to be used. And non-functional
Mm-hmm.
requirement is accuracy of that, accuracy of the functional requirements. And transition requirement is once the glass has been created, delivering it to the customer, installing it in their, wherever it is to be installed, and then
Mm-hmm.
whatever the use of that glass is, it should be put to that use. That is called transition. It is
Okay. Okay.
delivery and usage.
Okay. Delivery is the transaction. Okay.
Yeah. So project requirements,
Delivery
quality
required.
requirements I have already discussed with you.
Mm-hmm.
Subsequent slides are just explaining what I have already explained to you. Business requirements, it says, describes the high-level needs of the organization as a whole, such as business issues, opportunities, why a project has to be undertaken. So this you must take into account while you are developing the business requirements. Stakeholder requirements are describe the need of a stakeholder or stakeholder group, where the team stakeholder is used broadly. Term stakeholder is used broadly to reflect the role of anyone with a material interest in the outcome of an initiative and could include customers, suppliers, partners, as well as internal business roles. So anybody and everybody who has anything to do with the project or the initiative is a stakeholder. Solution requirement describes the features, functions, and characteristics of a product, service, or result that will be met the business and stakeholder requirements. So this solution requirements will actually be fulfilling the business requirements as well as the stakeholder requirements. Solution requirements can further be subdivided into functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are the behavior of the product. What it should, how should the product react or behave. For example, this painting on the glass painted glass painting on the wall will add to the decor of the room. So this is the function of that painting. And non-functional requirement is describe the environmental conditions or qualities required for the product to be effective. Maybe you say that there must not be temperature more than 40 degrees in that room. So these are the non-functional requirements to upkeep that painting in that room. Transition requirements describe the temporary capability such as data conversion, training requirements, operational changes needed to transit from current state to the future state. And there could be other requirements. Two other requirements are project requirements and quality requirements, which I have explained to you already. These requirements are not part of business analysis effort. They are part of project work. Could be delegated to the business analyst, but typically, they are the responsibility of the project manager. Since these types are outside the scope of the business analyst, they are not discussed in business analysis practice guide. So project requirements defined by PMI as actions, processes, or other conditions the project needs to meet. These requirements focus on aspects of project execution. And the quality requirement as defined by PMBOK are condition or capability that will be used to assess conformance by validating the acceptability of an attribute for the quality of a result. Quality of service requirements. In business analysis, non-functional requirements are often referred to as quality of service requirements, QoS requirements. These are the non-functional requirements, right? Like I said, the room should not have more than this kind of temperature. So quality of service is the maintainability of that thing. Quality of service requirements are not quality requirements. Quality of service are not quality requirements. A quality of service requirement describes the quality of the product, while a quality requirement describes a quality characteristic of the product deliverable. To avoid any confusion, here we use the term non-functional requirement when referring to requirements concerning product quality conditions. Then comes the requirement document. It is the document in which all these requirements are encapsulated. So this is one document which will define all these requirements in detail. In some organizations, requirements are managed by having separate requirement documents created by each type of requirement. So, some organizations, you will have separate documents made for functional requirements and quality requirements and this and that. But in some organizations, there could be one big requirement document in which all of these requirements are explained. These requirements may also exist in one document, as I said. When requirements are managed with the requirements management tool, the requirement type is a characteristic of the requirement that is determined when the requirement is added to the online repository. So if you are saving it in kind of a database, then requirements could be saved in different tables or in the same table or whatever. Regardless of how the types are managed, it is important to ensure that requirement types covered by the project are identified in business analysis, planning, and properly addressed during elicitation and analysis activities. Then is a structure of practice guide. As we have already gone through it earlier, we have 5 domains, and they are need assessment, planning, analysis, traceability and monitoring, and evaluation, and we will be going through each one of them in detail. These domains are reflected in the subsequent chapters, section 2 to section 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 domains will covered in 5 subsequent sections. To minimize confusion between the planning that occurs in the project management and planning that occurs in the business analysis, section 3 in this guide is titled Business Analysis Plan, as if nobody confuses it with project planning. Section 4 is entitled Requirement Elicitation and Analysis, to more appropriately reflect the work being performed in the domain, which includes the requirements elicitation task as well as the analysis of the requirements. Section 2 discusses the business analysis work that is conducted to analyze a current business problem or opportunity. So we will have the needs sorted out there. To assess the current internal and external environment of the organization for the purpose of understanding what the need is to occur in order to attain the desired future state. Some of this work may be undertaken by business analysts before the project. It further explains understand the goals and objectives of the organization. That is, I'm talking about the very first area. Define problems and opportunities. Assess the current capability of the organization. Define the desired future state. Identify the capability gaps and contribute to the development of a business case. Why? For the purpose of proposing viable options that will enable the organization to meet its objectives. जी आप कुछ कह रहे थे? Anyway, so section 3 will discuss the work is conducted in order to define the business analysis approach and plan for the completion of the requirements. This will also discuss the stakeholder analysis, selected project lifecycle. Section 4 discusses the iterative nature of the work performed. To plan, prepare, and conduct requirements elicitation. To analyze and document the results of that work. A number of elicitation and analysis techniques are defined and explained here. Different forms of requirement documentation choices are discussed and guidelines for writing high-quality requirements are provided. Large percentage of project time is spent on elicitation and analysis. Therefore, this section provides a thorough explanation of concepts in order to help practitioners better perform in their area. Then is the section 5, traceability. This is like monitoring and control. Comprehensive set of activities for approving the requirements and then managing the change control mechanism for the requirements. If some requirements have to be changed, they have to go through a proper change request procedure. The benefits associated with capturing requirement attributes and building a traceability matrix. So we'll talk about the traceability matrix in detail there. provides a formal requirement change process, like the change request thing, discusses how changes of requirements are analyzed, assessed, approved, communicated, and managed. Then you baseline the requirements, means you freeze the requirements with the approval of the boss, and do the impact analysis, configuration management, version control, etc. Additionally, considerations for a streamlined approach to traceability and monitoring are noted. Last but not the least is section 6. This discusses the business analysis tasks that are performed to validate the solution. So we are doing the solution evaluation here, that is either implemented or ready to be implemented. This section focuses on both qualitative and quantitative evaluations, and naturally you must have the skill of the evaluation of qualitative and quantitative nature both. It discusses how evaluation criteria and acceptance levels are used to perform an evaluation of the solution. It also discusses work performed to evaluate, analyze, and report on the evaluation results. Number of evaluation techniques are defined in this, and examples are shared to demonstrate the practical application of their use. So this brings us to the end of the first introductory chapter. Subsequent to this, from next class, from tomorrow, we will be talking about, not tomorrow, when is our next class? Today is Friday, Sunday and Monday Sunday we'll have next class. So we will be moving on to the very first domain, that is need analysis. We'll try to cover it, but naturally it will take 1 or 2 or 3 lectures. Let's see how much time does it take. But I'm sure that we will be able to complete your syllabus within the time frame we have allocated. Any questions? Any last comments?
Sir, I understand what we have discussed, and I want these recordings actually.
You will get this recording. If at all there is no problem in recording, sometimes it happens that the recording is not done. Let me see it is recording or not.
So how can I get those?
Right now it is recording. I think last 2 lectures have also been recorded. I will convert them to MP4 files. I'll upload them to YouTube, and I'll give you the link.
Okay, so if I click, then it will record it, or you click, then it will record it?
I am currently recording, but if you record, probably it will also record on your end.
Okay.
Okay, you can try it, but I am recording it. You don't worry about it.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Because I need these recordings. No? These are important lectures, and for understanding, and we cannot write down so many things that we are discussing and examples.
Exactly. No, inshallah, I'll provide you all that. It takes some time. The 2 hour lecture we do, it takes about 8 hours to process. Right?
Okay.
And when I load it to YouTube, it takes another 1 to 2 hours. So we'll do it ultimately. I'll provide you the links, and you can keep reading, listening them from there.
Yes, sir. So we have a second and third on Sunday. We have a class, right?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday. Sunday, Monday, Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. It was very kind of you. And see you on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.